All right, picture this. You're a multi-millionaire engineer. You're at the top of your game, you've got it all, and then you wake up. But you're not in your bed. You're starving, penniless, and trapped in the body of a failed blacksmith in some brutal, ancient world. That is the nightmare that our guy, Gene Fong, just walked into. Now, before we get into his incredible story, if you're into tales of survival and genius like this one, do me a huge favor and follow the channel. Sharing it really helps this community grow, and it means I can bring more stories like this to you.
So, where does Gene Fong even begin? Well, he's been dropped into what's called the Great Kong Dynasty. And let me tell you, this place is brutal. We're talking a feudal society where life is cheap. The body he's just, well, inherited, it belonged to a scholar who literally just keeled over from starvation. And just when you think it can't possibly get any worse, he finds out about the local laws, and there's one in particular that's about to turn his new life completely upside down: forced marriage.
I mean, just look at the whiplash here. 1 minute, you're a successful engineer worth millions. The next, you're a failed scholar who just died of hunger. It's a complete reset to absolute zero. And about that forced marriage thing, yeah, the government has this little mandate. If you're a man of a certain age, you have to get married. Why? To make more babies for the army, of course. And if you refuse, well, you can either pay crippling taxes you absolutely don't have, or you can get shipped off to the front lines to die. So yeah, Gene Fong is backed into a corner. He has zero choice. So he gets shoved into this lineup with all the other, well, undesirable guys in the area. And across from them is a line of women, all outcasts just like them. It's bleak. But then his eyes land on one of them. Her name is Guanro. The villagers are all whispering about her, calling her a night charm, saying she's cursed and can't even be in the sunlight. But Gene Fong, right? He's an engineer. His brain runs on logic, not superstition. To him, all that talk is just noise. In this whole insane forced situation, she's the one thing that feels like a logical choice, like a glimmer of hope. So he picks her.
And so their new life begins in a rundown, falling-apart blacksmith shop with basically nothing to their name. For their first meal, all they have is this thin, watery porridge. He's watching her, and he can see she's trying to pretend she's full, trying to leave more for him. And in that moment, he just does this small thing. He takes her bowl and gives her more. For him, it's a simple act, but for her, it's a kindness she has literally never experienced before, and she just breaks down and cries.
And that right there, that's the turning point. He realizes his first real job here isn't just about keeping himself alive anymore. It's about building a life that's actually worthy of her trust. He looks around this dusty old shop, at the rusty tools and the awful low-grade iron, and it clicks. His greatest tool isn't any of this junk. It's the knowledge he has crammed in his head. All that 21st century engineering know-how. And so, he gets to work.
Which brings us to the million-dollar question, right? How does a modern guy, a modern mind, even begin to survive in an ancient world like this? I mean, think about it. He has no money, no food, and definitely no friends. So when you're faced with the very real problem of starvation, what does an engineer do?
Well, he doesn't build a better plow to till the fields. He doesn't try to start a farm. Nope. An engineer finds the most efficient solution, the fastest path from problem to resource. And in this case, he builds a better weapon. Using everything he knows about physics and mechanics, he engineers a crossbow. And this thing, it's a piece of tech that is light years ahead of anything the local hunters have ever laid eyes on.
So he steps out of the workshop holding this frankly weird-looking contraption. And of course, the villagers all start laughing at him. Look at the failed scholar playing with sticks. They totally write him off. But oh man, that laughter stops dead in its tracks when he comes walking back from the mountains later. Not empty-handed, but with 2 huge rabbits slung over his shoulder. And here's where his genius really pays off. He takes those 2 rabbits to market and trades them for 40 pounds of grain. Now, you gotta understand, in a world where people are literally starving, where 1 bowl of porridge is a big deal, 40 pounds of grain is like winning the lottery. It's enough food to see them through the entire winter. He didn't just hunt for a meal, he engineered a way out of poverty. And just like that, the laughing stopped, for good.
But you know how it is, success always attracts the wrong kind of attention. The town bully, a guy named Xia Guang, decides he wants a piece of the action. He tries to shake Gene Fong down, and when that doesn't work, he makes the huge mistake of insulting his wife, Guanro. Now, the original owner of this body, the scholar, he would have just taken it. But this Gene Fong, the engineer, he understands leverage, he understands force, and he doesn't hesitate for a second. He fights back and he puts the bully on the ground. The whole village is just stunned. He's not just the smart guy anymore. Now he's a man you do not mess with.
Sometime later, Gene Fong is out hunting again, and his engineer brain starts picking up on something wrong. There are way too many rabbits and small animals out in the open, in places they shouldn't be. It's weird, and he realizes they're not just out and about, they're running. They're fleeing from something big, something much, much bigger.
So he goes back and tries to warn the other villagers. He's like, look, something's not right. The animals are spooked. He's laying out the logic for them. But are they listening? No way. They're just blinded by greed, seeing all this easy prey. They think he's just trying to scare them off so he can have all the hunting grounds for himself. So they laugh at him. Again, they totally ignore his warning.
And then, as the sun starts to set, it happens. A scream rips through the forest. A massive tiger, wounded and furious, comes charging out of the trees right at the villagers. It is absolute chaos. The same people who were just laughing at him are now screaming and running for their lives. But Gene Fong? He doesn't run. He stands his ground. He's the calm engineer in the middle of a storm. He just raises that crossbow he built. The first shot takes out the tiger's leg. The second shot hits another leg, slowing it down. And the third? A perfect, clean shot right to the head. The beast drops. 3 shots, game over.
And just like that, everything changes. Overnight, he goes from being the village outcast to the tiger-fighting hero. I mean, the man they thought was useless literally just saved all their lives. And not only that, but killing a tiger comes with a huge reward from the government. So in the span of a single evening, he's gone from the poorest guy in town to one of the richest. Talk about a glow-up.
But here's the thing. That crossbow, it did a lot more than just kill a tiger. The story of the scholar with the strange weapon starts to spread, way beyond their little village. And eventually, that story reaches the ears of a very powerful marquis, a military commander. And this guy, he doesn't see a hunting tool. He sees a weapon of war. Gene Fong just solved the problem of survival, but in doing so, he's just put himself on the radar of a much, much bigger and more dangerous game.
So he did it. He used his modern mind to beat this brutal, ancient world at its own game. He survived, but now, that very same genius has caught the eye of men who don't just hunt tigers, they build empires and they wage wars. So the real question is, in a world of power and politics, is just surviving ever really enough? His journey, it seems, is just getting started. If this story grabbed you or made you think, please share it with someone you think would appreciate it. And don't forget to follow for more stories just like this.